This creator argues that Jesus' sacrifice didn't mean much.
If he rose again, his death matters very little. That sacrifice is the equivalent of a billionaire giving up his billions for 3 whole days, and then after 3 days, getting all his billions back.
Your analogy doesn't hold because the billionaire is not tortured, shamed, severely limited, or anything like that. The billionaire just kind of gives up the money. This is also a weird view of sacrifice because it seems to understand that if you sacrifice something, you shouldn't get anything back in return, and that's just not true. You sacrifice time to make this video, and you're obviously going to get views, likes, and so on back in return.
At best, you can say that his sacrifice was the suffering he endured during that time. But it's not unique suffering.
You don't think suffering for the sins of all mankind is unique? You don't think having a crown of thorns shoved on his head as a form of torture is unique? You don't think an eternal and omnipotent God dying at the hands of men is unique?
You know what's a greater sacrifice than what Jesus made? A non-Christian mother who dies in childbirth for her child. She goes through likely days of suffering. I have a friend who labored for 3 whole days.
Yeah, but it's not just the fact of suffering, it's the uniqueness of the suffering and the kind of suffering. And for both mothers and Jesus, everything leading up to it. These are very different things.
She goes through the pain of birth. She then dies during that time. And because she's not a Christian, she goes to hell. And she stays there. She died for someone else to live. And she suffers for all eternity for that. That is a greater sacrifice than what Jesus did.
So this assumes a particular view of hell that a lot of people, including myself, don't grant. But even if I did grant that, she didn't sacrifice her eternity. She sacrificed her life for one person. And then assuming that they would go to hell as soon as they died, goes there as judgment. Jesus sacrificed his life for all of humanity. Even if you just take that, like in your analogy, the mother sacrifices her life for another life. In the example of Jesus, he sacrifices his life for all of humankind, past, present, and future. It is noble when a mother sacrifices her life, but it is just not the same.
The only reason that you are that impressed with Jesus' sacrifice is because you're an authoritarian.
No, I'm impressed with the sacrifice of Jesus Christ because of the virtuous character that he displays all throughout the sacrifice, the incredible reward that he gives those who believe, and, dealing with my sins.
I mean, no one deserves worship, but if you're going to worship anything, worship your mother over a god. That's fucking sacrifice.
So I would hope that if you're an atheist watching this, that you would agree with me when I say that this particular statement that this creator makes is actually really disgusting. Not because the statement has anything to do with religion, but because she suggests that the mere fact that someone came out of another human being means that that other human being deserves quote-unquote worship or reverence or respect or something. This is actually a point that is brought up by abusive, manipulative mothers. Now, to clarify, I am not making any statement about the character of the person I'm responding to. What I am saying is that many mothers have said things like, I gave birth to you, I sacrificed so much for you, I suffered so that you could live. You deserve to treat me better than this. Meanwhile, they're gaslighting you, abusing you, manipulating you, hurting you, etc. A virtuous character makes a mother worthy of praise, not the fact that you came out of her. I hope this was helpful. It's a bit of a longer video, but let me know what you think and follow for more.